What's going on, folks? It's me, Guy, patiently waiting for his BT9 cards he ordered to come in the mail to actually build some decks.
Where the Digimon are they?
But until then, BT7 did release, or is going to release very soon in the West, depending on whenever this video goes up. But that means that hybrid cards, as well as the support for hybrid cards, are going to be running rampant in the meta from this point forward. So I want to take this time to go over a couple of questions and common misconceptions folks have about the hybrid types, as well as digivolving from Tamers, to kind of help you guys get through your games a little bit more smoothly. So let's take a look. So because hybrids are not exactly new to the Digimon TCG, but they were very uncommon until BT7, let's take a look at a couple of situations that players may have questions about or are unfamiliar with. So our first scenario is, can I attack with a hybrid Digimon from a Tamer that I played this turn? For example, let's imagine that this turn I have 5 memory and I play on Koji for 3, and then I immediately digivolve him into Kendo Garurumon for 2, and then I immediately attack. So this is actually not allowed. Digimon has the rule where a Digimon that has played this turn cannot attack the turn it was played, unless it has a rush ability. And in this case, the Tamer has that same effect, or that same restriction. So for example, if I played Koji and I digivolved him, I can't attack, but the following turn I would be able to digivolve the Koji into Kendo Garurumon and then attack. The next couple of scenarios involve Tamers, hybrids, and the de-digivolve keyword effect. So let's imagine that I have this Kendo Garurumon on my side of the board, and my opponent plays a Digimon that, or an option card that de-digivolves this Kendo Garurumon by 1 level. So what happened is, in this case, the Kendo Garurumon is, of course, trashed. The Tamer, however, just goes back to being a Tamer. The Tamer isn't sent to the trash. You don't have to, put him back in your hand or anything like that. The Tamer just stays on the field as a Tamer. Keep that in mind. And then they function as a Tamer. You can use their Tamer effects if they're on both turns, etc. You can then further use that Tamer maybe for another hybrid Digimon later on in the turn or the following turn. So let's take a look at a couple of other situations regarding de-digivolving with Tamers. So let's take, again, Koji here as a great example. He's one of the few Tamers who can have Digimon stacked up under him as inheritance sources. So let's imagine you use his effect to digivolve him into Magna Garurumon by stacking 5 hybrid-type cards from your hand up under him. So in this case, I've got the 5 hybrids here, and then I place the Magna Garurumon here. And let's imagine, for whatever reason, the Magna Garurumon is de-digivolved 1 level. Kind of weird here, but you're going to trash the Magna Garurumon, and then he just goes back to being a Tamer with all these inheritance Digimon up under him. The weird thing to keep in mind is that if the Digimon inheritance sources have some effect that you would be able to use, you actually cannot use those inheritance effects while he is a Tamer. You have to wait until it is a Digimon again, rather, if it's, digivolving him into another level 4 Digimon, or another Magna Garurumon by stacking 5 more Digimon up under him. So let's take a look at another example. Let's again imagine that our Koji uses his effect, digivolved into a Magna Garurumon, and put 5 sources from your hand up under him as the payment for that. And he gets de-digivolved 2. In this case, you can actually do that. So you might be wondering, well, once I de-digivolve the Magna Garurumon, what do I do with the actual Koji? And in this case, the Tamer, like any other inheritance card, is simply just stripped away. So if he de-digivolved 2, and he's stripped away, then you get whatever is up under him. So this is actually where it's kind of important to order the source cards for cards like Takia, Kampara, and Koji, because if you get the digivolve 2 and you just suddenly decide that you wanted a Stravimon as the first inheritance card, then you're stuck with something like a Stravimon rather than maybe another Digimon like a Beowulfmon that you could have used instead. So again, just get into a good habit of stacking the order that you want up under your Magna Garurumon or your Emperor Greymon for this reason. In our next example, let's take a look at something slightly different. Instead of Koji, we're going to use Tommy this time. And let's imagine that we have Tommy digivolved into a Blizzardmon, or Korikakumon, I believe it is in English. And let's imagine that, like before, your opponent de-digivolves this Digimon by 2 levels, so it's de-digivolve 2. In this case, you would not source strip the Tamer as well. You would drop the Korikakumon, and then because the Tamer acts as level 3, you cannot de-digivolve that Digimon further. And so the Tamer would just, again, like before, revert to being a Tamer. It cannot be destroyed, much like a level 3 Digimon cannot be destroyed through de-digivolution. So now let's take a look at some of the Digimon that support Tamers and hybrids in the BT7 set and some of the scenarios or questions you might have about those. The first one I'm going to talk about here is Namon. So Namon has this nice effect that whenever a Digimon with a Tamer in its source becomes deleted, you can, from your trash, take a Tamer card and play it out on the board. So people might be asking, well, let's imagine that I have this scenario here where my Kendo Garurumon is destroyed for whatever reason, and underneath him there's a Koji Tamer, and I have to trash the Koji Tamer. Can I use Namon's effect to actually just get the Tamer that was trashed? And happily, the answer to that question is yes, you can. So whenever a Tamer is trashed from a hybrid Digimon, you can take that same Tamer and just play it again. So there's no restriction here. If there's another Tamer in the trash that you wanted to play instead, you can do that. But yeah, you're free to use the Digimon that was just deleted, the Tamer from its sources. Namon also has the additional effect that whenever he is played, you can play a Tamer with an inheritance ability or an inheritance effect from your hand. I just want to quickly talk about what that means. So when you say a Tamer with an inheritance effect, I mean, technically, you would think that this Davis Tamer here has an inheritance effect because there's something within the like inheritance section on the card. However, you'll notice that if you take a look at it side by side with, for example, the Koji Tamer, you can see that right beside the photo, or right beside the icon, there actually is a small bit of text that tells you what kind of effect it is. And in this case, you can see that Koji has something that's called an inheritance effect next to his picture, and meanwhile Davis has something called a security effect in that area down below. That means that through Namon's effect, you can pretty much only play the Tamers from the BT7 set, because as far as I am aware of, these are the only Tamers that do have inheritance effects. And so you wouldn't be able to play Tamers that have this security effect in this section here. So just keep that in mind. And to round out the support cards, the last situation I want to talk about is Bokomon. So Bokomon is a Digimon that says whenever you Digivolve a Tamer into a hybrid type Digimon, you can actually gain 2 memory. Let's imagine a scenario where we have 2 Bokomon on the board and you have a Koji Tamer on the board as well. And you say, I want to Digivolve my Koji Tamer into Kendo Garurumon. Through the use of Bokomon's effects, can I get +2 from each of these guys? And the answer to that question is yes. So if you have 2 Bokomons on the board and you decide to Digivolve one Tamer into a hybrid, in this case, you're going to get a net +2 memory off of this one Digivolve. So you're actually gaining memory off of this Digivolve. So in the case where you have, again, current Kendo Garurumon, his effect allows him to Digivolve for 2 cost. You're going to do that, and then you can use Bokomon, the first Bokomon's effect, to basically cancel out or gain 2 memory after the Digivolve to put you back at 0. And then you can use the second Bokomon's effect to gain 2 more memory, putting you at, again, +2 memory for the evolve. And so that's pretty much all I want to cover today. Again, I don't want to get too far in depth with rulings and complexity. I just want to keep it very simple for a lot of basic situations I think might arise when you're playing some of your BT7 games. Again, I hope you guys have a ton of fun with BT7. It is a set and an expansion that I had a ton of fun playing myself over here in Japan. If you're interested in some of the decks that you might be able to run or some deck ideas, I've put up a bunch of videos already about BT7 decks, and so you can take a look at some of those deck profiles there as well. If I didn't cover a question that you had, or if there's a question that comes up during one of your games, do me a favor, feel free to just drop it in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. I do read all my comments, guys, and I do appreciate you for all the positive and kind words you guys have had so far. I'm glad that I'm able to build a small Digimon community here on my channel, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed the content that I'm putting out. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for me, guys. Please enjoy your games, have fun, and do me a favor, before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.